Hi everyone, MJ Kinman here. It's good to have you back. This is week 2 of our Mighty Magnus Summer Sew Along, and I'm really excited about today's subject. This is slow piecing the T-Rex pattern of the Mighty Magnus series. Now by slow piecing, I mean we're going to be doing it via English paper piecing. This is all hand piecing. So last week we talked about piecing T-Rex the fast method, and that's traditional piecing using freezer paper as your templates. This is where you cut out your fabric, put them together right sides together, then sew them on your machine and zip through that and get that thing done in an afternoon. This is going to be a little different, and I'm excited about learning this along with you. So I've been doing some research and I just want to share with you what I found, and we're going to learn how to do EPP together and put together our little dinosaurs, every single one of them, using English paper piecing as well. So this is truly a sew along and a learn along. I'm learning along with you, and I love that. So let's talk first about supplies. The very first thing you're going to want to get your hands on is this fabulous product called English Paper Piecing Specialty Papers. These are 25 sheets, 8.5 by 11, that go through your home printer. And this is the paper on which you're going to print your T-Rex patterns, those 4 quadrants. Now, this is a product that was brought to market by C&T Publishing in collaboration with Becky Goldsmith of Piece of Cake Designs and the author of Hand Sewing. Becky Goldsmith is a new friend, and she is the real deal. She is all things quilting. She does it all. She does applique, EPP, traditional piecing. And I'm leaving out a whole host of other things that she does. I have a little video of a conversation I had with her when we first met, and we started thinking about doing a collaboration together, and I was asking her about English paper piecing specialty papers. And so I wanted to share this with you because this is how we're going to put together our T-Rex. So obviously you'll take the PDF files and then you will put the English paper piecing specialty papers in your printer, and they print out on this kind of this nice lightweight but durable cardstock that she specially picked out just for EPP users. So you'll do 1 copy of the 4 charts, pages 7 through 10 in T-Rex, and then of course you're going to do another set on regular paper. That's because this will be your cheat sheet. You won't cut this up. This is just plain old regular copy paper, and you're going to keep this together, set it aside, and use this as your treasure map almost. It's your key for how you're going to put your little guy together once all the pieces of your English paper piecing are cut up. So you're going to have 2 charts, one on the EPP specialty paper and one on regular copy paper. Other products you're going to need, obviously, you're going to use your cutting mat and your rotary cutters. Again, I am going to use 2 rotary cutters. One, I'm going to cut up my English paper piecing specialty papers, and then I'm going to use my good to cut out the actual fabric. So this is for paper, this is for fabric. I like to use 2 different rulers. I like to use a long 24-inch ruler that allows me to make nice long cuts. And then once I made all those long cuts, I like to go with a little bit smaller ruler. This is an Omni Grip, one of my favorites, a 12-inch by 1.5 inch Omni Grip ruler that has the 1/4 inch seam allowance shaded on both sides. Now in this case, unlike the fast piecing with freezer paper, your seam allowances aren't going to be that important. They're not important. So this is just a suggestion. You just want to be sure that you get enough fabric to wrap around your pieces. Next products, you're going to want some fabric glue. Now you can use all kinds of fabric glue. I would definitely use one that's specifically created for fabric. This is Bond's little fabric glue stick. See, it comes in a little pink, and then it has a refill that comes with it. I think I picked this up at a class that I took a couple of years ago. I haven't used a lot of it, but I found it in my stash, and I'm so glad I was able to find it. I also went ahead and picked up Sewline's fabric glue pen that you can also find on Becky Goldsmith's website. By the way, you can find the English paper piecing packets on Becky Goldsmith's Piece of Cake website. I'll give you the link to where you can find that. You can find it also at equilter.com, but as always, make sure that you check with your local independent quilt shop first. They need us more than ever now. So this is, again, the Sewline fabric glue pen that you can find probably at your local independent quilt shop, as well as equilter.com, and I got this off Becky Goldsmith's website. So this is the fabric glue you're going to use when you are wrapping the fabric around to the back of your little templates. You're going to go ahead and put fabric glue on there, hold it down, make it nice and tight, and then keep working around the sides of your template, and I'll demonstrate that in future videos. So this is a good product to have. Now, one of the things I had a question about was, well, okay, as you've got your little template cut out and you've laid it on the wrong side of your fabric and you're going to cut your seam allowance around it, how do you make sure that that little EPP template doesn't shift and slide as you're cutting around? Well, my friend Violet Craft has a great solution for that. She uses this double-sided roller tape. This is a little tape dispenser that basically just allows you to drop a little tiny bit of tape. I don't know if you can see that because it's clear. Let's see if I can get it to glisten in the light here. But you put these on the back of your EPP templates. You set them then on your fabric and they hold nice and tight. The nice thing about this is then once you're able to take those pieces out of the back of your quilt, that double-sided tape just pops up along with the template. It doesn't stick to your fabric. This I found at Joann Fabrics, but I believe you can also find them at any office supply store, and there's lots of different kinds. I just got the Duck brand. Next thing you want to take a look at are your clips. These are really helpful when you have your two pieces together that you're going to whip stitch the edges and you want to hold them steady. So I'm going to take my little Wonder Clips and I'm going to hold my two pieces together, and that's going to keep it nice and stable. The next product you're going to need are needles. Now, people are all over the board about what kind of needle to use. Everything from straw or milliner's needles in the number 9 length or just regular applique needles. I found some embroidery needles in multiple sizes in my stash. I also found these cute little Roxanne needles. They are 10 sharps. Other people like using quilting betweens. It really all depends on what you're comfortable using, how your hands work best with a needle. Really, it's all a personal choice. So I'm going to experiment a little bit. Maybe with some of these smaller embroidery needles, maybe with one of the sharps, maybe with a quilting between, and we'll go from there. Of course, you're going to need a thimble to protect your finger. And let's talk about thread next. Again, I've heard all kinds of opinions on thread. But the consensus seems to be to use a polyester thread because it's stronger. And you also want to use a thread in a higher weight, which means it's thinner. Always the higher the weight of thread, the thinner the strand. So when I was first doing my research, I saw that people were recommending 50 to 60 weight thread. So I called up my friends at Sulky and asked them if they would recommend a thread, and they suggested Poly Light. This is strong thread for micro stippling, quilting, and detailed embroidery, or EPP. This is a nice little multi-pack, and it has a couple of different colors in it, and I think I'm going to use for mine the light blue, the dark, and then the light yellow based on the color of the pieces that I'm putting together. Violet Craft likes to use an 80 or a 100 weight polyester. So she likes her thread really, really thin. Again, it's all personal preference. Why don't you experiment a little bit, see which ones you like the best. I'm going to start with this 60 weight Poly Light from Sulky. The next thing you'll want to use is a Heat and Bond Light. This is the material that you'll use to bond your little dinosaur teeth to the front of your quilt top, as well as his little eyeball. So I used this last week when I was putting on his chompers and his eyeball on the fast-pieced block, but you'll also want to use this for the slow-pieced one as well. This is Heat and Bond Light. Another thing that I think is going to be very helpful for you is to get a little bit of a carry-on, kind of a carry-all, some sort of a little caddy that allows you to put all of your materials and your tools inside. Now, the beauty of EPP is that it is mobile. It is transportable. You can sew on the go. I'm really excited about this because I've got a couple of trips planned. Next week, I'm headed to Texas for an entire week teaching at 3 guilds. And so I'm going to be on the plane, I'm going to be in my hotel room, and I want a nice bit of handwork to do. Then in August, I'm going on a little bit of a vacation, a little girls' weekend, actually, that we've been doing for many, many years. And as we travel there and travel back, I'll also want to have a little bit of handwork. The next thing I want is your fabric. As you recall, if you saw the videos last week, this was what I used for the dinosaurs that I decided to fast piece. This is this beautiful Stonehenge gradient from light to dark. And then I used as the background a kind of a curry color, and this is what he looked like. Okay, this is my little guy from last week's fast pieced or traditional piecing using freezer paper as my templates. For my EPP block, I'm going to reverse the colors. I am going to make my little dinosaur a gold and yellow color, and for the background, I'm going to use the ombre, the Stonehenge gradient. So let me show you my color chart. This is my color chart for my T-Rex slow pieced block using English paper piecing. I'm going to use all different shades of my background. I'm going to have some of my dinosaurs be in light, have a light background, some of them a medium background, some of them a dark background. So I think that'll add some visual interest. Of course, the black will remain the same. The yellow is going to be a little lighter, and that's because the colors of my dinosaur skin are a little bit lighter gold, so I wanted his little eyeball area to be lighter still. So let me show you what I'm going to use for the dark gray, which is that little bit on his top of his nose, the top of his head, and then the dark skin and the medium skin. This is the fabric I'm going to use for my medium skin. This actually is a piece of fabric called Jewel Box that came in a number of colorways that I created with Northcott a few years ago. I still have a little bit on hand, and I think it's going to make for a wonderful set of dinosaurs. So this is my medium skin. Now, keep in mind, the medium skin is this part where I use the light blue on the little dinosaur. Right? So it has the most area. And so I really wanted his little, his neck to have swirls and beautiful gradations of gold in it. So these are the pieces that I'm going to use the swirl in. For the darker pieces here, and this little stripe around his neck and on his chin, I'm going to use the curry color. And you can see that it blends pretty well with my swirl gradient. For my dark gray, I'm going to use a lighter color that I think blends really nicely with everything. And then, of course, the yellow is going to be a little lighter still, and that will be for that little eye area. This is the fabric choice for my slow-pieced T-Rex. I can't wait to get started. Next, let's talk about cutting up your EPP paper pattern.